Welcome to the Lie of Monogamy by Warren Michaels. Chapter 1, The Sinful Catch-22. Since most people are expecting a pro-poly book to be about sex anyway, I'll go ahead and satisfy that accusation and start with that. According to every anti-poly person I've ever spoken to, that seems to be all we think about or do anyway. So here it goes. I'll begin with a scenario. You have a boy. Boy meets girl. Boy falls in love with girl. They don't want to sin, so they wait till marriage to have sex. Honeymoon night comes around. Boy finds out that girl has a problem in that area and can't do it, or at least not to the boy's liking. Boy does his best to deal with the less than desirable situation as long as he can, because he loves his wife. Years go by. Enter single girl number 2. Boy makes friends with girl number 2 at church and begins to really like girl number 2. Wife knows girl number 2 and befriends her also. Boy, still sexually frustrated, thinks girl number 2 is the best thing since sliced bread and could possibly be the solution to his frustration. Let's pause the scenario just a second. There are several ways that this story could end, most of them not good by any means. With all due respect to the book Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, the Catch-22 here is that in order to not sin, Boy got married. But who he married and what she could not give him may lead him to commit another type of sin. So the last part of this story would end up something like this. Boy confides in girl number 2 about marriage frustrations. Girl number 2 confides in Boy about her problem of all the good men being taken. Boy makes pass at girl number 2. Girl number 2 makes pass back. Boy and girl become more than just friends over the next several months. Wife finds out about fornication being committed and divorces Boy. Boy and girl number 2 get married. Wife hates girl number 2. Wife marries someone else. So now, according to biblical standards, we have 4 people committing many sins that have come from 2 people simply wanting to avoid one sin. All because they were only told about a marriage system that was not designed or intended for this particular scenario. So if you paid attention closely to the story above, you'll notice some oddities in the terms that I used. Normally, when we think that a boy cheats on his wife, we would call it adultery. However, the biblical term of adultery does not apply here because girl number 2 was not married. This is very important. Remember this for later. Therefore, it was the sin of fornication, not adultery. At this point, most people will stop reading this book, just because they think that I'm full of crap. Let me explain a little better. Most people don't realize that adultery is not when one spouse cheats on the other. That's right, go ahead and read that last sentence one more time. I'll wait. Adultery, according to Leviticus 20, where God is kind of giving a refresher course to Moses, is the following. God says, and I quote, "The man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death." In Deuteronomy 22:22, it says, "If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they both of them shall die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so shalt thou put away evil from Israel." These might not exactly be a definition as though it came from a dictionary, but these may be a few of the only examples that we have as to what the definition of adultery is. We know the following facts. Number 1, a man cannot have sex with a married woman, especially his neighbor's wife. Number 2, we can gather that a married woman cannot have sex with a man who is not her husband. And number 3, nothing in either passage says anything about a married man with an unmarried woman. I believe the following will explain number 3. In the verses from Leviticus, God goes on to say who a man can't marry. What we gather from that is that it is allowed for a man to have multiple wives as long as he obeys the rules given for having multiple wives. Now that we have a whole new perspective of what adultery is and is not, let's rewrite the ending of the story of the sexually frustrated boy, shall we? Boy confides in girl number 2 about marriage frustrations. Girl number 2 confides in boy about her problem of all the good men being taken. Boy searches Bible in hopes of an answer to his problem, and he finds that marrying more than one woman is never actually spoken against, even in the New Testament. Boy shares what he found with his wife. Boy, wife, and girl number 2 have several discussions over the next several months about a new possibility. Boy, wife, and girl number 2 become involved in a dating relationship over the next several months. Boy, wife, and girl number 2 get married. Nothing illegal is done because there's no additional marriage certificate made, only vows are exchanged. Marriage is blessed by clergy. Girl number 2 moves in with boy and wife as wife number 2. Over the next years, some naturally occurring jealousy, strife, and other normal marital problems ensue, but nothing that isn't worked out in a few days. Boy and wife love wife number 2. What I have just presented to you is totally biblical. Hey, Warren Michaels here. Just letting you know that if you liked that last video, be sure to subscribe either above or below depending on what type of device you're looking at. And if you really liked it, be sure to give me a comment, a like. Comments let me know if I'm giving the audience out there exactly what they want, which it doesn't really matter. I'm going to give you what I got, so I guess it's just all good. However, that brings me to my next point, that if you hated this video, be sure to subscribe anyway, so that way you can hate watch every single one of my videos. Thanks for watching.